stakeholders.
I heard a Republican-chosen city manager of Santa Maria one day talking about stakeholders.
Well,
They're already using this language. It's like they're getting us used to the language, Fred.
Well, but don't worry so much about that, because stakeholders can mean very legitimate things. And it depends on how it's used, as with so many things. But the meaning of the words change. That's what you have to be careful of, is how that meaning changes. Now, at the same time he was doing this, he got into water, and I'm in water big time. You can go to the state California website, and you will see my testimony on 3 different plans that came out of the state in the last year. I testified on the landscape watering ordinance, the model landscape ordinance. I testified on 20 by 2020, the conservation ordinance, and I testified also on the California Water Plan, update 2009.
You happen to have
That's
a copy.
volume 1. There are 3 volumes. The 3rd volume is all by regions.
Wow.
Again, those aren't even published yet. It was all supposed to be published by the end of last year. It's not even in print.
It says 2009.
I know.
It's
Volume
not
1,
published yet?
Volume 1 is published. Volume 2 is published. Volume 3 still has so many mistakes in it. They're still working out the last details
I love
and getting
this.
it done.
Nice, pretty picture.
Oh, beautiful pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, nice pictures.
Yeah.
But getting back to water, Gary Brown back in 1977, the same time that he was distracting everybody on this, fortunately, somebody inside, like you have people inside, handed me one of the 50 sets of a 7-volume set on water rights that was commissioned by the governor also, where he asked certain attorneys to look at all of the water rights in the state of California and analyze how the state could take them all. Now, what's interesting, if you take a look at these and you go and research these particular people, most of them were brand new lawyers. They had graduated within a year of when they wrote these papers.
Wow.
But where are they now? Well, this one, Maribel Archibald, became an attorney in 76, wrote this in 77, was brought into the Attorney General's office in 1983, and she stayed there till 2005, and when she left, she was appointed to a position as an administrative law judge in Sacramento. So who's going to rule on your water rights when it comes to that time? All right? Now we take a look at a couple of other papers, and we have another one who is now a professor
Fred,
at Hastings College.
This is very significant. You got your stuff together. Tell me about that one.
Okay? So he's now a professor at Hastings College of Law at the University of California. So he's teaching new lawyers, and he's writing papers on how to take away your water rights. All right?
His name is?
And his name is Clifford T. Lee. All right?
And
then
he's at where, Stanford?
No, he's at Hastings College at UC.
At UC Berkeley.
Right.
Someone I need to go interview.
And number 4, written by David Anderson. Oh, Ann Schneider. Did I talk about her?
No.
Okay. She wrote papers 2 and 6, and she now practiced extensively before the State Water Resources Control Board and is entrenched in the Delta proceedings. So these are the people who are dealing with our water now, and they've already got positions.
So we've got these far
So
totalitarian type people that want to take away water rights. They're already well entrenched in the whole judicial system.
And what I'm saying is, you need people in Sacramento to keep an eye on these people, to keep an eye on these things, to know these things.
Why didn't Etta,
and that's the problem.
Why didn't Etta mention these people?
Well, because the problem is
she doesn't know any of them.
There is no history left in Sacramento. With the term limits, we threw everybody out who knew this stuff. And we brought in new people who don't have any legislative memory. And this gives all of the power to the bureaucracy. Because the only ones who can remember what happened and who are advising all the people who are making the laws are the people that are already administering the laws. And that is a danger in our system.
But we had crooks in the system, Fred, and we couldn't get rid of them.
Well, yes,
and we
that
still
is a problem.
have crooks in the system, and we can't get rid of them.
That is a problem. And that's a problem of perception by the people, and it's a problem for people like you. And we can't solve all the problems of the world. It's just like I can't take on every single issue that's out there right now because I'm one person.
Right.
And there is no one person that can deal with all of it. But you
think
try to get really entrenched and know some things well.
I think you know some things well, Fred, but I think like Matt Kokanen and like Cacho, you don't understand that the state assembly was increased from, I forget, I know Michael Warren could get him here, would would know this number, but it was something like 50 to 80.
Right, back
Because
at the early part of the state.
1850s,
Yes.
they needed 80 assemblymen to represent.
One representative for every 30,000.
That's right, or less.
Okay.
Actually, they wanted one for 3,000. They wanted to keep that ratio, but it got locked in at 80 and has stayed there forevermore. Now we're 40 million, and I don't think if the best person, if I was in the assembly, I could not honestly represent 500 million people, including the illegal aliens. You know, you got to count them. Because they're here. They're buying, they're spending, they're going to jail, they're going to the hospital.
I'm sorry, you don't count anything that's illegal.
You have to.
You don't countenance anything that's illegal.
But Fred,
if it's illegal, that's exactly what it means.
When they go to our emergency,
illegal.
I know that, but there's no such thing as an illegal person. It's just an illegal presence here.
All
but
right.
they go to the hospital. They get waited on. And I know people that have gone to the hospital and says, I can't get waited on
because of human rights. And there you get into a real touchy area. But that doesn't mean they have the right to be there in the first place.
Would you support, Fred, an increase of the state assembly from 80 to something modest like 800?
I really have to look at it carefully, and here's why. That's 800 offices in buildings somewhere, because each one of them has to have a point of contact for their constituency.
But they wouldn't need as much. But they wouldn't need as much staff, would they? Because they're representing us.
That depends. Are they all going to, each still going to deal with all the issues? Or are you going to have assemblymen that deal with this issue and assemblymen that deal with that issue?
Think about it. If you had 800 assemblymen, each one sits on one committee. They sit on one committee, not two or three.
But don't they vote on all the issues?
Of course they do.
There's the problem.
But we cut their salary back. Way back.
That's another problem. So you're going to disenfranchise anybody who doesn't make X amount of money?
Yes. If you aren't successful enough in life to be the president of your union and get a pension out of your union so you can be the elected Democrat, if you aren't successful enough businessman that you can pull anything together, I don't want you in there. You ain't got the brain power. I think we got too many lawyers in there, and the lawyers are sucking. Just like our 4th District Assemblywoman here, who I'm not going to name, she's a practicing lawyer, and she does a twiddly-thumb job as a 4th state. Not your county. I'm talking about Santa Barbara County.
I hear you.
So you're going to think about it.
I would look at it. It's always the devil is in the details. The devil is always in the details. So you've got to work it out.
Do you know what the Bible says about it?
What?
In the Bible, God says, pick yourself for every 1,000 men a representative to speak for those 1,000. Every 1,000. That's biblical. And the farther we get away from the biblical representation standard, Fred, the farther we get away from people.
And what you're saying is very idealistic, and it may be what we would like to see happen. But I'm looking at a state that's broke. I'm looking at a governor who is trying to sell 8 of our office buildings in Sacramento to raise money to fix the budget, who's trying to sell the Orange County Fairgrounds in order to get a few $1 million.
Do you know what they're selling the most of, Fred?
What?
Children.
That one I'm not going to touch. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's why I raised the issue.
All right.
Matt didn't have a clue, and neither did Katya, but I'll clue you in.
All right.
I have been in touch, really close in touch, with a dozen people.
CPS?
Child Protective Services. Their name got so dirty they changed it to Child Welfare Services. Right. And I'll tell you how it goes, because I think you may win, and you need to know this.
I know CPS.
You need to know this. What they do is they accuse you of being a bad father or mother. They steal your child. You get no trial. Then they twist your arm. They say, if you sign this document agreeing to do this, this, and this, and waive your right to a jury trial, we'll let you visit your child tomorrow. Now your child is panicked. You're panicked. You'll sign anything. Isn't that extortion?
I understand.
Isn't that extortion? Isn't that extortion?
It is very possibly extortion.
It is extortion.
As you explained it, it is extortion.
This is what they do every time, Fred. Every time. They say it's emergency. We get a judge sign order. You know what? I talked to 2 judges. Says I don't even sign the orders.
Bill,
I just give them a blank.
It needs reform. It needs drastic reform.
They have got more children killed through CWS, which used to be called Child Protective Services, and their own grand jury in Los Angeles showed, I forget how it was, dozens of children putting in homes with pedophiles. Known pedophiles were in homes where foster families were getting children. I'm telling you, they're getting raped. The children are getting raped. They're getting murdered. We had 3 children die right here in Santa Maria. I go to CPS, try to get an answer. We can't talk about it. Confidentiality. I said the kid's dead.
Okay.
The kid's dead.
All right, now.
If you're elected, will you open up this ugly mess and let the light of day go into those courts and put a camera in there because they steal these kids? The social work, Fred, you got to hear this. I know you want to tell me something else, but you got to hear this because I think you might be the guy that wins. So even if you don't agree with me, listen to me because I'm telling you, there are tens of thousands of people in this state that have had their children wrongfully taken, denied a jury trial. What does the Constitution say? Anything worth more, 7th Amendment, anything more than $20, you shall not be denied the right to jury trial. Not one case in 100 gets a jury trial. And they steal the kids. They force you to sign documents to visit your kids.
Bill, my job, my business has been being a consultant.